Evening everyone, Ian from DIY Home and Gardening. Normally when I'm in the garage it means I'm doing a build project, but tonight I'm not. Tonight I'm actually doing a bit of a potting mix and a planting video. So let's turn the camera around and we'll have a look together. The raw ingredients for tonight's potting mix is perlite, washed sharp sand and Irish moss peat. Now, what could we be potting? Well, let's go and have a look, shall we? And there's the pot in question, and it's to house these carnivorous plants. And I met a really interesting lady a few weeks ago now. Ended up going round to have a look at hers and her husband's collection, and got given some at a very good rate. So I'm not going to pretend that I know these varieties, because I don't. I know that they're Sarracenias. So we've got that one, Sarracenia, or Fila, whatever HV Georgia is. Then we've got Sarracenia Linda Butt, called Linda Butt because that was the person that bred it. We got Sarracenia Cross Harperi and Sarracenia Flava Purple Tube, because it creates some lovely purple tubes. And then slightly different, which is a Dylantonia Californica. So I've loved carnivorous plants for quite a while. Indeed, I've bought loads of carnivorous, but really not ever for myself, but more to sell through the garden centres that I've worked in. And I know a breeder, or an ex-breeder I should say, and he had a very good setup, and indeed he bred a Sarracenia after named it after my wife Claire, and indeed we got given the first Sarracenia Claire. However, we managed to kill it. Reason we managed to kill it is, like most people, we tried to grow it indoors, and actually carnivorous much prefer to be grown outdoors. They are pretty tolerant of, well, very tolerant of the cold. They're very tolerant of sitting wet, because indeed they like to be sat wet. They do need a little bit of winter protection if they're not sitting in a free draining soil. So and I thought I'd just point that out because that's going to be a flower. And if any of you have had the chance or get the chance to go to RHS Wisley Gardens, then within the rockery area you will see there's a nice pool section that is planted up with carnivorous, and indeed went there this year in the February when there was snow on the ground, and the Sarracenias were more than happy. So my plan is to plant up this container, so it's a carnivorous container. Yeah, they'll be happy outside. They'll attract and eat flies, wasps, hoverflies, small ground beetles, and possibly some of the smaller slugs. But as I said, first off we need to make a compost mix, and for growing these, you can see already that white element. Well, that's the perlite, so I actually use that a lot in my normal mixes for dahlias, chilies and tomatoes, and it acts as a very good drainage material whilst also being moisture retentive. So it retains the moisture, and as the surrounding soil dries out, the plants are able to draw the moisture from the perlite. Carnivorous plants also need to be in normal peat, or actually you can use a pine bark as a mix, but peat is miles better. And I know it's not politically correct in this day and age to be promoting the use of peat, and we should all be trying to go peat free, etc, etc, but actually used correctly, harvest correctly, managed correctly, there's nothing wrong with peat. And indeed certain plants just will not grow without it. And as carnivorous plants come from peaty, acidic conditions, that's what we're going to use. So the ratios that we're going with, which is what the grower uses, and indeed what a lot of carnivorous growers use, ratio 3 to 1 to 1. I'm working on the assumption roughly that that container is about a 11, 12 litre container. So what I'm going to be doing, 9 litres worth of the peat, 3 litres worth of that, and 3 litres worth of that. That gives me my 3:1:1 ratio, plus obviously the size of those pots should be there or thereabouts. So easiest way to work this out, using, well, not with a slug on it, using that size pot, which is a 3 litre pot, and I'll be filling that up accordingly of each mix. Put it in the wheelbarrow and using my hands to mix it through. So let's get cracking. There we are, all set out, all measured out. So now it's just a case of using your hands to get a proper good mixture in, nice and consistent. So I'll stop filming and get going. So we got that beautiful mix done, lovely consistency, just making sure as you're going through to break up any of the big lumps of peat that you might have, and that's an ideal mixture there. Just put the container onto some cardboard, just really to save the garage floor a little bit. And you would have probably noticed it just has the singular hole to the base of this. Whilst you could put some polythene in there, which would stop moisture going through, I'd much rather have that hole in the bottom there, just to let some of the extra water go through, because I don't want the plants to sit actually saturated. I'd much rather have them in a nice free draining environment that is moisture retentive. So to start with, just going to fill to about that sort of layer or level with some soil, and then I'll be able to judge roughly. So let's grab a plant now. There we are. You can then judge roughly as to where that will sit, and the aim is really that you want to have a bit of a gap between finishing level and that rim, so that as you come to do the watering, you've got somewhere for the water to be able to puddle and seep through. So let's get that bottom layer in now. All right, gloves are on, let's get going. So we got soil into the base, kind of work out which the plants, they have definitely got that earthy smell to them. So where to plant them, as it happens, gonna need to put a bit more soil in. I just want to set them up as to where I want them to go, making sure that the label stays with them. So, because otherwise I will not have the faintest idea as to which is which anyway. And all I know is that I'll end it so it'll be facing this direction. So that needs to be with that one. Look at that, it's just bursting to get out. be around there. And sit that like so. So that should look quite decent. And now it's just going to be a case of filling in the gaps without making so much mess. Well, look at that. That is basically spot on. Nothing left. Pretty impressive, I reckon, in soil calculation. So, yeah, 11 litres. Bang on, basically. Anyway, that's them potted into this lovely container. Just need to give it a little drink. Right, so having planted it up, just brought it outside for a drink. And this is, might look a bit manky, but this is rainwater, which is what carnivorous want. They don't want any tap water at all. And I've also been told that the old myth almost that I used to be told that if you boil the kettle up and use that, then that would be suitable. Well, evidently that also kills them. But what you can use is you can use distilled water, but works out very expensive. Anyway, that's the planter done. And I've got to admit, I'm really pleased with how it's turned out. So that's the end of the video. Me potting up some carnivorous into hopefully what will be an amazing garden feature. I'm pretty pleased with it. So yeah, hopefully some of you guys will give it a go too. Normally I'd say if you've got any questions, then please send them to me. By all means, send the questions to me. I know the basics on looking after carnivorous, but certainly nothing, well, yeah, I'll say nothing or not a lot on individual varieties, so don't ask me about specifics, but in terms of care, potting, looking after them, then I can definitely help you out there. So yeah, send your questions if you got some. If you like what I'm doing, then please subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit that reminder button so you don't miss out on the future videos I'm doing. And I do always say it, and it is so true, enjoy what you're doing. Enjoy your experimenting, your odd bits of gardening. doing planting when it's 10 o'clock at night. And yeah, have fun. Use the time to relax and enjoy yourself. Until next time, bye for now.